let loose of the fear. You know, when I first started to come here, I had this daunting idea of, oh my God, this is Harvard. How am I going to succeed? But I just let go and let it flow. Professors are awesome. They're very personable. People are personable. It's a great experience.
Start immediately. It's an amazing experience, and study hard right from the beginning of each term.
Just start. Just apply with the first course. You see if it works or does not work, if it's what you were expecting from it, and then just start with it and keep going.
Be organized, really read your syllabi closely, be prepared, and make friends with your fellow students. I still Zoom with 2 of my friends every week, and I love them. And we're going to be visiting each other in Argentina and in France, and yeah, make friends.
I would say network with every one of your classmates. You might find them in another course later down the road, but it's really fun that you get to experience from different perspectives. Let's say if you went to another MBA or law or something, you would get the same people that is doing the same thing. Whether as in the extension school, you have people that is doing many different things. So each of these courses you're joining by that common interest. So make sure you create these long-term friends, which is amazing.
I think just have faith in yourself. You can do it, even if it sounds like it's going to be daunting or hard. You can do it. You're going to meet a lot of really, really cool people, and it'll all be worth it in the end.
I would say a lot of it is people are worried about like the entire process. And the great thing about the extension school is it's one class at a time, one step at a time. You don't have to worry about your 3 or 5 year plan. You have to worry about next semester. And for a lot of us, when we have lives, jobs, careers, kids, family, really the one step at a time is the way it goes. And also, I thought I had a lot of support through my advisor, my academic advisor.
Be open to the process. Definitely ask for help if need be, because sometimes you are going to need it. In fact, I guarantee you're going to need it. And be prepared to write and be prepared to learn and explore. Enjoy every part of this process, honestly. I'll never forget it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Harvard Extension School for our virtual panel, Setting Yourself Up for Success at HES. Just being here today is an important step in your journey, and we are excited to host you. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items. And while we go through them, please feel free to respond to the poll coming up on your screen. What is your biggest concern when it comes to returning to the classroom? A recording of this webinar will be sent to the email you used to register. The recording will also be accessible on the event webpage and our Harvard Extension School YouTube channel. Please utilize the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen to submit any questions you have for our panelists today. Our team has compiled your pre-submitted questions, and we will elevate relevant questions from the Q&A feature to our panelists as well. We will definitely work as diligently as we can to answer your questions. However, if we don't get to yours, we will provide contact information at the end of this presentation so that you can follow up at a later time. And now I'd like to take a moment for our panelists to introduce themselves, and I'll start with myself. My name is Leslie Helmuth, and I am the Director of Marketing for Harvard Extension School. And I just want to share a little bit about why I really love working at the Extension School. I'm really so devoted to our mission of extending high quality education to motivated, purpose-driven learners around the world. I am inspired every day by the students and alumni that I encounter who have persevered through so much to accomplish their goals. It really is an inspiring place and an inspiring community. And next, I'd like to pass it to Wendy. Wendy, can you introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Wendy Abramo-Merrill, and I'm the Student Accounts Manager for the Division of Continuing Education, which means I support both Harvard Extension School and Harvard Summer School. So I've been working in student financial services since 2002, which is the year I completed my ALB right here at the Harvard Extension School. I thought I was, taking on a temporary role, but it turns out that the intersection of customer service and finance really is my happy place. After working at universities around Boston, I came home to DCE a few years ago, and I am so happy and I get so much satisfaction from supporting folks who are literally in the same place I was all those years ago.
Thank you, Wendy. Next, Zach.
Thanks, Leslie. My name is Zach Nowak. I'm one of the instructors in the Extension School. And I love working with Extension students for a very selfish reason, and that is that they're awesome students. I spent 5 years teaching in Harvard College, and I find that working with Extension students who have a wealth of life experience, they're super engaged and enthusiastic, but also they can take that life experience and map it onto difficult academic concepts in ways that 18 and 19-year-olds just can't. So it's a selfish reason, but I really enjoy having great students.
Wonderful. Thanks, Zach. Sarah Ann.
Thank you, Leslie. I'm so excited to be here. So my name is Sarah Ann Stinnett. I am an academic advisor for the undergraduate program and the joint degree program. I'm also a double alumna. I went through the undergraduate degree and the graduate degree. So I'm very, very dedicated and interested in the division's commitment to lifelong learners, as I myself am. And I get to spend my days supporting learners craft plans to enrich and augment their intellectual life. And I'm inspired by all of the different motivations and commitments and triumphs that the students I get to support achieve every single day and every year.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Sarah Ann. Amanda.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda Peters, and I am Director of Harvard Extension School Career Advising and Programming, and I'm also an Associate Director for the Mignoni Center for Career Success for Harvard's Faculty of Arts and Sciences. I took my first class at the Extension School over 20 years ago, and my most recent this spring, and I really, really love to work with our students from all around the world, all variety of experiences and backgrounds, and such a range of professional interests. And a lot of it is because I really learn from them every day, just like in the particular video at the beginning, you heard someone say they learn from their fellow students. And that really makes me love working for the Harvard Extension School.
Thank you, Amanda. And Ariel.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ariel Camino. I'm a class of 2003, which is 21 years ago, a long time ago. But honestly, I'm a president of the Harvard Extension Alumni Association, and one of the things I love about HES is the people. You guys mentioned about the diversity, the passion for learning, but honestly, the alumni that we have across the world, it's just top notch. It takes a lot to go through extension schools because you have to work, you have to study, you have to do a lot. But the DNA of all of us and the alumni and the people you meet on the way is amazing. And honestly, the friends you make on the way, classes like Zach's and the history class are amazing. So it's a lot to take in, but honestly, the people is what I appreciate the most.
Thank you so much, Ariel. So let's get started with some questions about our courses at Harvard Extension School. First, a question for our attendees here, another poll. When was the last time you were a student in the classroom? Let us know in the poll popping up on your screen. And while our attendees are answering the poll, Zach, could you share a little bit about what a typical class at Harvard Extension School might look like for our students?
Sure. Thanks, Leslie. The classes depend. The formats are different. Some of them are synchronous, so everybody's doing the learning at the same time, or at least is in class at the same time. Some are asynchronous, so you watch the videos later. Some are on campus as well. I usually teach the 15-week semester classes, and that's meeting 2 hours a week online for 15 weeks. But then there's also the 7-week format and the J-term sort of intensive session as well. And I think the best part, at least what students have reported to me, is that it's not like a degree where you got to go through 3 or 4 years and finish the degree and then you sort of can use it. A lot of the stuff that the students learn in the class is actionable right away. They can put it to work right away, which I think is awesome.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So it looks like we've got a good range of responses in our poll. And that really does make a lot of sense. Harvard Extension School is, really designed for students who roughly match the attendees that are here today. Working adults pursuing education part-time, balancing a lot of things at once. Our students range in age from 23 to 73, and most have at least 12 years of professional work experience. So you'll be in good company with people who have similar experiences and challenges to overcome, and you can support and inspire each other. Okay, so Sarah Ann, there's a question here about whether students can complete all of their coursework online, and I'm hoping that you can give us just a quick overview of our course and program formats.
Absolutely. So that question ultimately depends on what an individual's goal is. As Zach mentioned, many courses are offered completely online. We also do have courses during the fall and spring semester, our 15 weeks, that are offered online, but that have a required on-campus weekend. We also have 2 credit offerings that take place during the weekend, one designated weekend during the semester. Those are called active learning weekends. We also have the summer semesters, the Harvard Summer School, which has 2 separate 3-week sessions that are typically on campus. We have the 7-week session, which has both on campus and online. And we have our J term, which is our January session. And those courses are either online or on campus. So many, many options for folks. And it, as I said, it depends on your goal. If someone is just interested in taking a handful of classes and getting experience and enriching, their studies and getting some learning in there, absolutely, that can be completed online. If folks are interested in formalizing their studies a bit more and pursuing either a graduate certificate or an undergraduate certificate, those can also be completed completely online with careful selection of the courses based on requirements for the certificates. If students are interested in applying to a degree program, nearly all of the programs do require a specific component to be on campus. Graduate degrees require at least 1 course to be on campus, and they have specific courses designated for that during specific times, usually the summer semester. And then the undergraduate degree requires about 8 credits on campus, which can be completed through a variety of the formats I just mentioned. Full semester course with an on-campus weekend, several different active learning weekends. So it's highly customizable, and it really depends on what a person wants to achieve with their academic studies and what their schedule can allow in terms of coming to.
Thank you. That was such a great overview. Really, really a lot of information packed in there. So Ariel, do you have any other advice that might help students be successful in the classroom, particularly students who maybe just haven't been in the classroom before, or maybe brand new to the online experience?
Yeah, that is a good question. One of the things that you need to do and be aware of is that it's a time commitment. You have to make sure you schedule yourself in a way that makes sense. If you're like me, sometimes you're trying to do too much, so that doesn't leave you so much time for sleeping. But honestly, time management is key. But also reach out to the instructors and the TAs that that you have in your class for support. You have an amazing community of people that are rooting for you as you go through this process of learning, especially if you're just coming back and you haven't done it in a while. There are a bunch of people behind the scenes like you, as you people see here, but also foster connections. That one of the gifts that you'll get out of this experience is the people you meet along the way. And like I said, you get to make amazing friends, amazing connections. And that's that's honestly why I love serving at the Alumni Association, because the people that you meet is amazing. But besides that, time management, what I recommend is to dedicate a space in your home or office to serve you as a virtual class space. Make sure you have your place to study, your place to be able to dedicate that creates a routine and a habit. Because like I said, it is a time commitment. You have to put a lot into it. The great thing about it is you get as much as you put in. So the more you put in, the more you get. You will reach out to the community and remember that you have all this community around you for support.
Thanks, Ariel. That's so helpful. I hear so often from students that really the relationships they built with peers really help them continue through difficult stretches during their course. So really taking advantage, that's a great tip. And the instructional teams are always there to be supportive. And I really love that idea of carving out a special space to be your own kind of at-home classroom, whether that's in your house or actually in your office. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. Our first question about time management and flexibility is a really good one. Sarah Ann, as an academic advisor, can you share the number of courses that you recommend students take each semester? This is a really common question.
It is a common question, and it's a question that I receive quite a bit as an academic advisor. And I really think it's an important question for folks to consider, not just for their time at the extension school, but semester by semester, because the answer to that is highly individual and it changes over time. So fundamentally, you are able to take up to 16 credits, which is roughly 4 courses, right? And the smallest amount of credits you are capable of registering for would be 2 credits, one of those active learning weekends. It's more common that folks will take a combination of 1 to 2 classes, and this is for a handful of reasons. Most folks, as Leslie mentioned earlier, are in different parts of their life and balancing a whole variety of responsibilities. Some people have jobs, some people have families, some people have both. So how many courses you take ultimately depends on what your life looks like for the next 7 weeks to 4 months. It also depends on where you are in your academic journey. If you are taking a class for the very first time, I highly recommend you just start with 1. See how it goes. If you're well into a degree that you are, an admitted degree candidate, you're working with an academic advisor, you have a degree completion plan, increasing that load might be the right fit for you. I also recommend thinking about the type of class that you're engaged with. Is it synchronous or is it asynchronous? How much time do you have to, meet with a class synchronously each week? Or is it something that where if you're taking 2 classes asynchronously, you can accommodate that because you have different times available? It also depends on, what kind of experience you would like to have. I always like to err on the side of thinking about the fewer classes I take, the more deeply I'm able to engage with them. So thinking about reducing your course load might offer you the chance to show up to additional office hours, meet with your faculty, to show up to study hours with classmates that you yourself might, suggest. So the last piece of advice I'll share is I like to recommend thinking about courses for yourself as either a stretch class or a comfort class. And this often has to do with folks who are following a particular curriculum for a graduate or undergraduate degree. So a stretch class might be a class that you need to take for a particular degree requirement, and it might be a challenge for you. You need to receive a certain kind of grade to be eligible for certain academic opportunities. That you're going to need to dedicate extra study time. If you're taking a stretch class, always err on the side of reducing your course load. But if you're taking a comfort class, that's a class you're really, really excited about. It enriches your heart. You want to dedicate as much time as you can. It's easy to forego, extra hangouts on the weekends with your friends for extra study time. You might be willing to increase your course load and take 2 comfort classes at the same time. So I'll leave it there, Liz.
Thank you, Sarah. And I really love that idea of thinking about a course as either a stretch class or a comfort class. It's a helpful tool for students deciding on their workload. So speaking of the rigor of our courses, Zach, could you share a rough estimate of about how much time students should expect to spend on a course each week?
Leslie, I have a very brief answer to that, but can I do some rah-rah extension grandstanding first?
Please do.
Okay. So my course in the fall is a history, it's Introduction to Harvard History. And that's mostly about Harvard College, although extension does show up at the end. And so I know a lot about the history of Harvard College. And I think some students come into extension, and if you think of all the different parts of Harvard as a family, they sort of see Harvard College as like the golden child, right? Like the famous one. Everyone thinks that's like the really cool kid in the family. So wrong. Extension is the cool kid. Harvard College is like the stodgy older sibling, and extension is the younger, better looking, better organized, more technologically adept, and more socially progressive part of Harvard. Extension was admitting women 70 years before Harvard College. Extension was using technology like the radio and television to do distance learning in the 1950s. Extension didn't insist that everybody had to be on campus as a resident. So I think just thinking about the time management, students need to internalize that same thing. Just because they didn't go to some fancy high school and they're not 18 years old, that's not a negative. That's a huge positive. The people that are on this call thinking about doing Harvard Extension have an enormous advantage over younger students. And that is that they have life experience, which makes them able to map on complex theory, like I said before, but also they have time management skills already because they're busy adults. So I would say if you're an adult and you balance work and your family life, you're ready to do an extension class too, because you know how to balance stuff in your life. So that's the long rah-rah answer. The short answer is basically you should figure for each hour of class, you're going to have 3 to 4 hours of coursework, whether that's assignments or reading or whatever. So if you have the 15-week class like the one I teach, and it's 2 hours a week, you should figure, I don't know, 6 to 8, maybe a little bit more hours. Some weeks are heavier than others, and that's where the syllabus comes in. One of the people on that video recommended really paying attention to the syllabus. I would add to the Canvas page as well. But yeah, I think you can figure between 6 and 10 hours per week of work. But don't worry, you can do it.
Thank you, Zach. I loved getting that quick history lesson. I imagine you piqued the interest of several of our attendees here, and they can check out your courses. And just given that average workload, I definitely understand why Sarah Ann emphasizes that starting and probably continuing your progression with 1 or 2 courses a semester just makes a lot of sense. So it's manageable. Sarah Ann, do you have any other advice on how to approach managing your time for students?
Absolutely. So my number one suggestion is to take the syllabus and do this one particular task that I myself engage with every time that I take a course. So I get my hands on the syllabus and I pull up my calendar. And for folks out there, however you do that, whether that's your Gmail app or it's a family calendar on the fridge, either way, get the syllabus and pull out your calendar and put into your calendar all of the key dates for when you have assignments due. Once you have the global view of the semester and all of your major, formal, or smaller assignment due dates, start to put in blocks of time leading up to those assignments to schedule time ahead of the assignment, so you have a particular amount of time saved, likely sequentially over weeks and days, to lead up to that. So that's my number one suggestion. Map out your time ahead of time. It's important, though, to remember that when we think about managing time, we're not just reducing as much life as possible to hit the books all the time. No, it's a balance. Also, make sure to schedule yourself time away from the books, right? So looking at your calendar, you want to make sure you have a balance of, spending time with your kids, being able to catch up on extra emails from work, maybe you do that over the weekend, whatever the case may be. Make sure you've also allotted time for yourself because you want to avoid burnout. Similarly, I would recommend letting your support team, letting the people in your life know, hey, I'm going to be managing things. So how can we together come up with a plan for help? Maybe that's asking your partner if they can cook the Thursday night dinner. Maybe that's letting your kids, know that you're going to be a little bit busier on Sundays because you've got 2 hours of study time. So being proactive and communicating not only your plans, but your needs to your support team. And the last thing I'll share is managing your time also necessitates thinking about formal obligations that you have. So if you have a major paper due and you've allotted particular time on the weekend, but halfway through the semester, you realize, oh, this is a little bit more challenging. I'm a little worried about the time. Plan ahead and talk to your support team. Maybe that's your boss, and see if you can request a vacation day ahead of time, right? Over prepare for the amount of time necessary, because the more time you can invest in your studies, the more set up for success you'll be. So the easier it will be to manage your time. I'll pause there.
Thank you, Sarah Ann. Those were just wonderful tips. And I know that is one of the most daunting aspects of considering going back to school, is just how am I going to be able to do it all? And I particularly liked that you advised people to make sure that they carve out a little downtime, because that's going to ensure that they have the momentum to continue on if they take care of themselves too. So thank you. So Wendy, do you have any time management or flexibility tips to add, given your experience as a past student?
Sure. So it is super important to talk to your support team and the people in your life about the demands that are going to be, changing, and all of the time you're going to have to put into this. But I think it's also generally often helpful to check in with your employer and let them know that you're going back to school, that you're taking some courses. Something that you may not have thought about if this is your first time considering going back to school is there may be tuition assistance available from your employer. You may have some kind of benefit that's going to help you with your expenses. You might also be able to get support from your employer in other ways. I was able to negotiate really flexible hours. I was able to go to school and work, and I always had plenty of time to do everything. I was really lucky. So I think it's really important to think about talking to your employer and see if there are options available to you, like more flexible hours or additional remote work privileges to really help you fit all your coursework into your schedule.
Thank you, Wendy. That's a really great segue into our next topic, which is really, preparing to return to the classroom. And when considering, returning to school, many students really first contemplate how they're going to pay for their education. So Wendy, I wonder, can you share how most people go about paying for their first course at Harvard Extension School and just provide some tips here?
Sure. So, at Harvard Extension School, we really believe that a quality education should also be affordable. Our tuition rates are comparable to public universities and really only a fraction of the tuition at our peer institutions. And we're all committed to working closely with you to make paying for school as hassle-free as possible. So most folks make their payments online, our online system, the same place where you'll register for courses and log into Canva to take your courses online. Also has a portal which gives you full access to your student account. You can see your tuition charges. You'll be able to make payments online with a debit card, a credit card, direct payments from your checking account. If you're outside of the US, we work with a company called TransferMate for cross-border payments, and they have been super easy for students since we launched that service last year. If your employer does offer some kind of tuition assistance, or maybe they don't, you'd like to talk to them about that, we do have a template online that you can download and use as a basis to kind of start a conversation with your employer about offering tuition assistance. And then we also offer, other payment options depending on your circumstances, which does also include private education loans, which are available for certificate programs and students who are not yet admitted to a degree program.
Excellent. And can you talk to us about additional options for students once they are admitted to a degree degree program, excuse me?
Absolutely. So in addition to the previously mentioned options, which also include a payment plan, which I did forget to mention. So we do also offer an interest-free payment plan that allows folks to break up their expenses into 4 equal monthly installments. But for admitted degree candidates, financial aid funds may be available to help you with some or maybe all of your tuition costs. And my team, the Student Financial Services Group, we can help you determine your eligibility and explain the application process. If you are active duty military personnel, or if you are a veteran, we can also work with you to tap into the funds that may be available for you either through the GI Bill or through a TA program for your branch.
Thank you. There's so many great resources available through the Student Financial Services. And I know that students can reach out and communicate with your team at any time to get advice. Just to reiterate, that payment plan that you mentioned, that's available to any student. They don't have to be an admitted degree candidate, right? It can be just a course taker, somebody pursuing a course for a certificate.
That's right. And I'm so sorry I forgot to mention that in the first round. The payment plans are available to all students here at Harvard Extension School.
Wonderful. Okay, so Sarah Ann, do you have any tips for people who may be anxious about getting back to school after years or even decades away from the classroom?
Absolutely. So the first thing I'll say is that by joining a class at the extension school or joining a degree, you're joining a community that lives, breathes, and is committed to your learning success. So know that by taking a class, you might be nervous, but your instructor, your classmates, your instructional staff, your advisor, should you have one, the enrollment services team, which are the frontline folks at the extension school, everyone believes in your ability to do the work, to do the Harvard work. So just know right off the bat that you're joining a place that believes in you. So if you have nerves, there's a whole team of people you haven't even met yet who know and believe in you. But a couple of more granular things that you might do to ease the tension that you might be feeling, some nerves a little bit. One would be reach out to your instructor ahead of time and introduce yourself. Simply say, hey, I'm signed up for your class. I read about it. I'm really, really excited. Here's the thing I'm most looking forward to, right? Your instructor might get back to you and say, welcome. And then look at that. Automatically, you have a friend in the class, a familiar face you can say hi to. If your course has a space on the Canvas page dedicated to community connection, so maybe that's a discussion board where folks can swap contact information, reach out, lean into your class community. Just like the video at the beginning of this webinar showed, oftentimes some of the most enriching and rewarding experience of the extension school are the other learners in the room with you. There's nothing like being able to feel like you belong to a group of people who are going through a very unique situation, similar to yourself, returning to school after a long time, or being in school for a very long time, working on goals. So reach out to your instructor, lean into your class community, but also getting back to some of what Ariel was saying earlier, prepare to meet your learning needs. Set up your space in your home. Get your whatever water bottle it is that you really love. Make sure that's ready to go for you. If you're a person who, likes pen and paper, get yourself a new notebook. Go back to school shopping supplies. Whatever the case may be, prepare to meet your learning needs. And on that note, I would also recommend not just thinking about the syllabi, but looking at what are some of the things that I'm going to be doing this semester. Am I going to be reading a lot? In which case, are there ways that you can support your learning style? So if you're going to be reading a particular book and you're more of an oral learner, can you get that book on audio tape, right? Start listening to it as soon as you can. Do you have a particular journal, right? Do you process things very well when you write it down and take notes? Have a particular special journal that can just be your messy notes journal, because you know that the more you write it down, the more you're going to remember. So I'll pause there.
Thank you, Sarah Ann. I'm gonna use that messy notes journal tip for myself. Zach, I wonder if you have any advice, from the instructor perspective. Could you share something with us from your own lens?
I was dying to jump in on this. I can't say enough how right Sarah Ann is about contacting instructors. I just answered a question in the Q&A, but I'll reiterate that a little bit. Every once in a while, so I require students to come to office hours at least once, if not twice, and I give them points for that. And it's funny, a lot of times students come and they say, "Oh, thanks for meeting with me." And I always say, "Look, this isn't like some philanthropic endeavor I'm doing here. Like, I get paid for this. This is a job, and I get paid really well. And also, I really like this. I like teaching, and I also really like talking to students. When I taught in Harvard College, I have students in class, and I'd see them, a year later walking across Harvard Yard, and you could maintain a relationship and get to know people. I can't do that unless students, first of all, interact in class, but also come to office hours. So I really enjoy office hours a lot. But I think office hours are something that people should go to. I never went to office hours when I was an undergraduate, and it was just a horrible mistake. The hell does the professor know anyway? So, but I think going to, especially if you're nervous about the class, make an appointment right at the beginning of the class, have read through the syllabus and say, I just have questions about these things in the syllabus. You can also, as a student, always ask the professor, do you have a template for this? Or do you have an example from a past student that you could show me, share with me, and just so I have an idea, because a lot of students have never taken a history class. So I have a template for papers. Also, most professors from most assignments will have rubrics. A rubric is just an explanation of what the professor is looking for and can be used like a checklist. Okay, did I cite all my sources using Chicago? Check. Did I use both primary and secondary sources? Check. So I think the idea of going to the instructor is a fabulous one. And also, that's not some extra thing they're doing. It's part of the job. And it's probably a part for most instructors like me that they enjoy. So go talk to the instructors, 100%. Go to office hours.
Thank you, Zach. I really appreciate you chiming in here. And I know that you're not the only instructor who feels that way. Our instructors teach at the Extension School because I really, really love to work with this population, with working adult students. So please do reach out and make those connections. They are here for you to be successful in their classes. So Amanda, I'd like to turn it over to you. I know the Career and Academic Resource Center is a huge help for our students. Do you have any tips and advice for our students who are looking about trying to figure out how they can best prepare to be successful?
Absolutely. Yes, my colleagues who are on the academic side of the Career and Academic Resource Center, which we call CARC, have made a great video that I really recommend to those who are entering their first class called How to Have a Great First Semester. So definitely watch that video. Also, check out the other webinars, both live and recorded from the academic side of CARC. I know taking a class this last semester and learning how to cite properly in what for me was a new way of doing it was my biggest struggle, and I watched videos online to help me prepare. So really, really helpful to do that. And second, you've already seen this as a theme today, so note this particularly for yourselves. In addition, preparing yourself and the employers, do prepare your family and friends for the time that it's going to take you to take these classes. Really having a support system is so important as a student. So make sure you have that built in, and then over time you'll get to know your fellow students and you can make them part of your support system as well.
Thank you so much, Amanda. One of my favorite times of year is Harvard commencement, when I get to meet a lot of our graduates. And they always on that day are shouting out the many, many, many people, academic advisors, family members, colleagues, friends who supported them. So I know that that is a really important aspect of being successful. So I would like to transition next to a little discussion about resources that are available to students. And Ariel, as a graduate and the president of the Harvard Extension School Alumni Association, I'm sure you've had your own experiences with many of the resources available to students, and potentially even talk about them occasionally with alumni or prospective students that you meet in your role. So can you just share a few of the ones that you've taken advantage of or you think our prospective students should know about?
Yeah, the great thing about Extension School, is that keeps getting better, and you guys keep adding resources, some of them which I didn't have when I went to school, and I wish I had them. But honestly, things like the Math Question Center. If you have questions about your math, you don't feel like you need to study a little more on that. If you need the help with the paper, we have the Writing Center. And the CAR was mentioned, the Career and Academic Resource Center, to help refresh your study skills, your resume. Maybe help you as you route yourself to a job. Studying financial services is a great one if you have questions about financial wellness. If your company gives you some reimbursement, but you might need a little help. And the number of libraries that we have in the institution, you're able to do it, access them on campus. If you're on campus and you're able to go to the White Library, which is one of the best and awesomest buildings that we have, do so. But also online, you can do online, and much more. There are student groups you can access. There are different organizations you can be a part of. But again, no matter what you need, there's someone willing and able to help you. Either again, tutors, teachers, TAs, teachers, your own community, but all these amazing centers that you have access to.
Thank you so much. That was just a really great introduction to some of the most used resources that our students have access to, and highly recommend anybody to step into Widener Library at some stage in their experience. It's really, truly an impressive building and place. So let's get a little more specific. Sarah Ann, can you talk a little bit about how Harvard Extension School supports students with their academic goals?
So there are numerous departments that intersect and support an individual across their experience at the Extension School. And ultimately, which departments you'll be working with and which staff members will be able to support you depend a bit on where you are in your experience with the Extension School, and of course your goals, whether you're simply taking courses, pursuing a certificate, or in a formal degree. But one thing I'll start with is saying if there are things you'd like to brush up on, right? If you're just coming back and taking a class, one of the ways that the Harvard Extension School can support you in a very casual and comfortable way is through Harvard Extension Ready. And this is a great free resource online that can help you brush up with your writing skills and just get that much more prepared for a course. Similarly, if you are looking for any more particular support for your individual case in a class, maybe you have a learning difference and you need a little extra time on assignments, something like that, we have a whole department that can work with you on coming up with an individualized plan for your support, and that's the Accessibility Office. They're there to ensure that you have access and can benefit from the academic work that you're pursuing. Similarly, if you need any support navigating the different systems or the different policies right on the front end, when do I sign up for courses? What's the payment deadline? How do I make sure that I'm registered in my class? All of these types of process and administrative questions. We have an amazing frontline team called Enrollment Services. You can call them pretty much anytime, 9 to 5 Eastern time, and you will get a quick and highly informed response. So the enrollment services team is excellent. And if they don't know the answer, often they can point you in the right direction and connect you to perhaps the registrar's office, right? Academic services, if it's something a little more in depth that has to do with an academic policy question. Let's say you're pursuing a certificate though. Let's say you're a couple of courses in and you have a specific question or you need some specific support about choosing the right class, let's say for an elective in your certificate plan. The certificates office holds open and regular office hours that you can absolutely drop into and get some, individual guidance and support. Similarly, if you are, let's say, pursuing a degree and you're taking the courses that you need to take to earn your way into the degree, the Office of Pre-Degree Advising and Admissions is an excellent resource. They have advisors that can inform you on not just what are the criteria you need to meet and the steps you need to take to be eligible for admissions, but how to do it successfully and how to make informed choices to set yourself up for a strong start if and when you are admitted to the degree program. At which time, let's say you are in a degree program, you are assigned an academic advisor, just like me. Your advisor is your learning partner at the extension school. Your advisor is there to help you craft semester by semester plan, to craft degree completion plans. They're there to help you think through your successes, your challenges in the semester. They're there to help keep you on track and understand the requirements and the various policies that go into governing how you complete the degree. They're also there to help connect you to various resources. So it's really important that you build relationships with the folks who are in a place to support you, because if you are able to articulate and share your goals or your needs, they might be able to make suggestions that you're not necessarily aware of yet. And I'll give one small example. The Office of Student Affairs, which is a great department that is in charge of student engagement. They partner up with HES, which is the Harvard Extension Student Association. They're connected to student clubs. They're also in charge of supporting students who might face particular challenges. And they also have academic coaching, which is a free resource available to folks who are taking courses. So this is one specific example that your advisor might put forward to you should you raise, your experience throughout the program.
Wow, Sarah Ann, there really are so many resources available to students at whatever stage or whatever pathway that they're pursuing. So thank you for providing all those insights. We know that many of the students that we have coming to the Extension School are doing so for professional reasons. And Amanda, in your role, I wonder if you can talk a little bit about how Harvard Extension School supports students in achieving their career goals or exploring their career pathways.
Absolutely. So the Career and Academic Resource Center Career Services team that I manage offers free webinars on such a wide range of topics, everything from navigating a successful career change to resumes, interviews. We have some interviews with alumni on their career paths. And then we also have someone speaking about tips for applying to PhD programs, for example. So a wide range of things. In addition, I do monthly virtual drop-in hours during the academic year that you can find on our career services page on the Extension School site. And those are 15-minute meetings with me about any topic that people want to discuss. So it can range the gamut of what people want to talk about, but often it's about general career questions or about their specific documents. In addition, degree candidates get access to some additional opportunities, privileges, and so forth. That includes access to Mignoni Center for Career Success, appointments, resources, events, and so forth. The Harvard Innovation Labs that I know many of our degree students participate in, the Culture Lab, Public Service Fellowships, and the amazing Faculty Aid Program. And those are just a few of the resources that people have access to. But again, getting to know people in your classes is often one of the most amazing career resources you can find.
Well, 100%. Thanks, Amanda. Again, it's just great to know that Harvard Extension School really understands the students and what their needs are and really creates so many opportunities to support their pathways and help them achieve their goals. So with that, I would like to pivot next to a little bit of talk about the community, because you've heard time and again today from everybody on this panel, I think, about how important the people who will be in your lives are, your peers, the instructors, the staff. So before we dive into this topic, we've got another poll. Let's learn from you how you are feeling about returning to the classroom. And while we're getting some responses to that poll, let's talk about this idea of community, this reality of an amazing, supportive, engaging community here at Harvard Extension School. So we know that flexibility and accessibility are cornerstones of our mission at Harvard Extension School, and we've really been leaders and innovators in the distance learning space since our founding in 1910. I know Zach can share a lot of that history. So again, a little plug for his courses and his work. For many of our students, however, this may be the first time that they will ever experience an online classroom, and they might be a little concerned about how they make connections, how they interact live with their peers and with their instructors. And so, Zach, I'd love to start with you. And can you just talk a little bit about how you create community and from what you know of other instructors, how we foster community and connection in an online class?
Sure. Thanks, Leslie. I'll just say first too, if I could, I can't respond to this poll because I'm one of the panelists, but I think I would say that every single class I've ever taught, I'm really nervous for the first day, like to the point of almost being nauseous. My mother was an elementary school teacher for decades, and I told her about it one time. She said, the time when you're going to teach a class and you're not nervous before the first couple meetings, she said, you're ready to retire. So yeah, I'm always nervous before classes. It's not just the students. For creating community, Harvard Extension students naturally want to create community because we're in this bizarre, some parts of Harvard Extension are this like little online, we're all a half-inch tall on a screen. That's bizarre. And so people really do want to create community. It happens organically when students talk to each other. I remember the first time a student said, oh yeah, there's a question in our WhatsApp group. And I said, wait, what? And she said, oh, well, we have a WhatsApp group, all the students. I said, oh, didn't know that. Okay. So students often do that on their own. There's also the online study lounge. I don't have a whole lot of experience with that just because I'm not a student. But also a lot of instructors, myself included, will intentionally create moments where students can get to know each other. And I think that's good both for networking purposes, with an eye to sort of career, but it's also just good because the reason I have students do what I call class adjacent socializing, I have them meet up 3 different times during the semester. I give them points for it. All they have to do is meet up for half an hour and talk in small groups. I design the groups, and I intentionally say, don't talk about the class. You can talk about other extension classes you've taken. You can talk about dogs versus cats, last movie you saw, because I see that when students are in a classroom next to each other, they come in a couple minutes early, they get to know each other, and it makes the class smoother because you feel comfortable talking in front of people that you know a little bit. And so too, with this class adjacent socializing, students get to know each other, and it makes this sort of bizarre interface a lot easier. People know that that person that's watching them say this thing in response to a question in class has a dog named Henry or whatever. And so I think I'm not alone. In fact, I know I'm not alone in being an instructor who makes an effort to connect students and have them talk to each other. It's a really important part of this experience for multiple reasons.
Thank you, Zach. That's such a wonderful example of just creating a way for people to feel comfortable, get to know each other, and really make some connections. I do know that a lot of our online classes have what is called the Gather Study Lounge. It's available 24/7, and it's just a space where you can log in, pop in, see if there are several other students there. If you're taking a computer science class, maybe you work on a problem set together. Maybe you talk through, carry on a conversation that you had in your classroom. So it's a great way to just find a few peers and really engage around the academics of your course. So with that, I would love to just talk to Amanda for a second. Can you tell us a little bit about opportunities to connect in class Oh, sorry, actually the opposite. We just talked about outside of the class, Amanda. How can some of our students connect outside the classroom with one another and with larger Harvard University community?
Absolutely. So the Office of Student Affairs, or OSA, hosts a variety of different events, but also offers holistic supports to students during the entire time that they are at the Harvard Extension School. And this includes some networking opportunities. So if you join a class, keep an eye out for those emails from them about upcoming networking events. They also have information on academic achievement and some of the other things that we've discussed today. You can also be part of the Harvard Extension Student Association that's been mentioned earlier today, and HES student groups. So keep an eye out for those, join some of their events, and get to know people outside of class. Also, as a Harvard Extension School student, you're part of the Harvard community and can attend free virtual or in-person events offered by organizations like the Harvard Library, the Harvard Museums. And really, I find it helpful myself to subscribe to Harvard in the Community newsletter that will inform you about these kinds of events that are going on, both, again, virtual and in person. And then if you are an admitted degree candidate, there are some other opportunities as well to get involved. You could be part of Harvard graduate and professional student government, Harvard University-wide student groups, and then various affiliate and interest groups, and of course, various events through the Mignoni Center for Career Success. So there's a wide variety of ways to get connected.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Ariel, I'm wondering if you took advantage of any of these resources during your time, or if you have other opportunities you'd like to mention for our prospective students.
Yeah, I love that all the lists that Amanda was going through, because honestly, it's an amazing opportunity for anyone to be part of a student government or a student group. I personally, it took me a little longer to finish my degree, and that's because I joined one of the clubs at on campus, and I met people from HBS, which took me to a startup in Miami. Long story short, I ended up finishing my degree later on, and came back to online to finish it. But again, that's because of the opportunity to be able to meet other groups and other people. And even for international students that concerned about receiving support, there's the HES International Student Office, which can help you. As part of the Alumni Association, we do open up our events to degree candidates, students all over the place. We have 5 chapters in the US, 1 in Latin America, and we're growing this year internationally. So there's a lot of opportunities for us to build that community we're talking about, to come and be part of that network, which is really good. But yeah, there's a lot that other than that, again, the ability to all the groups that are on campus, the ability to join us at the association as well.
Wonderful, Ariel. And I know that once a student graduates, they actually become members of the Harvard Extension Alumni Association, as well as the much bigger university-wide Harvard Alumni Association. So that's a wonderful advantage to maintain those connections after you graduate. Ariel mentioned international students, that we have an international students office, and we really are a global community. Last year, we had students who came from over 114 countries, all 50 US territories and states. So if you're an international student considering joining us today, know that your classmates actually might be a little bit closer than you think. So we have time for one last quick question for each of our panelists here. If you could only offer one piece of advice to someone considering starting their journey at Harvard Extension School, what would it be? And Wendy, I would like to start with you.
Just start. I'm an overthinker. When I was thinking about going back to school, I overthought everything. Where would I find the time? What if I couldn't handle the work? How would I connect with people? And these are all super important considerations, but if I'd better understood at the start how many resources were available to help me succeed, I would have committed a lot sooner. So just start.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And Zach.
If you're on this call, statistically speaking, you're an interesting person. That's just my experience with extension students. They do interesting stuff. They got cool jobs. They've lived in neat places. Come to office hours. It's going to be a trade. I'll give you some tips about how to do well in this class and how to write papers and how to do research. And you can tell me something cool about your life. And that's a really even trade. Go talk to your professors.
Great advice. Thank you, Zach. Sarah Ann.
My one piece of advice would be to take time. Take time to plan for your success, to reflect step by step on the experience, to celebrate your successes. Take time to rise to the occasion of the rigorous Harvard experience, right? Take time this semester, take time in your life for your Harvard experience.
Great advice, Sarah Ann. Thank you. And Amanda.
Sure. Every year we ask some of the graduated students to fill out graduate spotlights and give advice to students. And every single year, the top piece of advice is get to know everyone at the Extension School while you're here. So actively make an effort to build your network. Get to know the students in your class. Under the People tab in your Canvas, read through information about your classmates, join student groups, get to know your instructors and TAs, and keep in touch, figure out ways to keep in touch. So that's my number one piece of advice.
Excellent one, Amanda. Thank you. And Ariel.
Embrace the journey fully, honestly, and stay engaged, stay connected. Here at the association, we have 3 pillars, which is connect, to serve, and celebrate. Connect with people, serve the community, and celebrate your successes. So make those your pillars, because honestly, it's an amazing journey, and the friends and the connections you make along the way are amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you to every one of our panelists here today for all your insights and your inspirational words. And thank you to all of you for joining us today. We really hope that you decide to become part of this community. If we were not able to get to your question, or more questions arise after this webinar, please do contact us at inquiry@extension.harvard.edu, or if you'd like to call, the phone number is 617-495-4024. Make sure to also follow us on social media to stay updated on deadlines, hear student testimonials, and learn more about our offerings. Please be aware that course registration will end on August 29th for the fall semester. So please ensure that you register so you can join us this fall. Classes will begin on September 3rd, and we're really excited about the fall semester. Lastly, we will send a recording of today's webinar to the email address that you used when you registered for this webinar. And within a week, you will also be able to find the recording on the event page on our website, as well as on the Harvard Extension School YouTube channel. Thank you all again for joining us today, and we hope to see you in class soon.